This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon and welcome to Ndlovu Dam here at Pridelands, where we have an array of animals coming down to drink some water. Thank you for joining us on the Sunset Safari. And as you all know, for the first 45 minutes of this drive, we'll be dedicating it to all the children in the world. So please send your questions through to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Gert. And like I said, we're at Ndlovu Dam, but that's not what was just here. I wish you could have just seen it literally just a moment ago. Let's have another look. But it's emptied out a fair amount, but about 5 minutes ago, there must have been over 30 or 40 buffalo that had come down to the water's edge to have a drink, followed by some elephants. And there is even an Ngala in the far corner who's brave enough to come and have a drink between these giants. And then there was also a big male giraffe. But they have all moved off now, but I think we'll be able to catch up with them a little bit later. That's no worries. And it is such a hot afternoon, so I think that the dams on Pridelands and possibly at Ngala and at Djuma too, all being in a similar area, will be the best thing to check to find all the animals. But you can see these are two bulls, these are two boys, and they are having a bit of a mud bath at the moment. They're just having the best time ever. That one's not very happy with the Ngala. The Ngala's sort of walking straight in the direction of an elephant, and you wouldn't think that a big old mighty elephant would be nervous of a little Ngala, but it is. He's sort of just saying, hey, you back off. I was here first. Elephants become very protective over their water sources. Yes, Jenny, it is indeed a pool party, and how I wish I could be in the water with them, or even just rolling around in the mud. Ngala's being very brave. Not really listening to the elephant signs that are saying, keep away. And that tree that it's walking towards is probably where those elephants are going to go next. You can see how they've had a nice scratch on that after a mud bath. Now was a young male in Ngala. I don't know where the rest of the herd is. Maybe he is old enough now that he's sort of been pushed out and he's just roaming around by himself. It's quite risky, with all the leopards that like to visit this camp as well. And in the distance you might be able to hear some voices. Some students have arrived back at camp, which is very exciting, going to do their assessments and then see if this elephant is going to chase that buffalo away. He might. The buffalo is just minding his own business and having a scratch. Let's see if he's going to be a busy, bossy boy. No, seems to be ignoring him. Right, we're going to head to the other side of the dam to see if we can catch up with the buffalo. Trishala's out on drive. Let's go see where she's going to go.
I am doing so much, looking at some birds up in the sky, the beautiful, beautiful blue sky. It's wonderful weather out here, 26 degrees Celsius, 78 degrees Fahrenheit. It is warm, and Taylor's absolutely right. The waterholes are the places to go to. Now, first things first, Mike Willis has dedicated this wonderful afternoon safari to the WildEarth, the WildEarth team. And he says, thank you all for bringing the whole world on safari and being with us. That is awesome. Thank you very much. I don't know what we'd do if we weren't able to bring it to you, because it's just so beautiful. It's lovely to have you with us. My name is Trishala with BK on camera this very wonderful, very warm afternoon. We are in the west today, and we are going to have a look out for Hukumuri. I think I might visit Simbambili, which is just to the west of us here on Djuma. Let's see if Hukumuri is hanging out around there. And like Taylor said, pans are a good place, and there's a pan nearby there that I'd like to visit just in case he's hanging about there. Or at the very least, he must have at some point in the day, now or maybe later, which means that there'll be some tracks that we can follow. Anyway, it's water all over the place, and Nikki at andBeyond Ngala is also looking at some. So let's go and say good afternoon.
Big welcome to all the kids from all over the world that's currently watching the show. So we just found some hippos in this big, beautiful waterhole right in front of us. So your guide today, it's me, Nikki. I'm here at andBeyond Ngala, and with me on the camera is Owen. So we just wanted to point out, so this hippo, there's actually two of them that are very playful. So they started, when we first saw them, they were out of the water, and then they came into the water, and we might just see their heads popping out of the water soon. Oh, there's one coming out now. Now, if they do disappear under the water, we're going to give it a bit of time. Oh, there's another one that just popped up. The thing about hippos is they need to breathe, of course, out of the water. So they'll walk on the surface of this big waterhole, and as soon as they're ready to breathe, they'll jump up, quickly breathe, and then, of course, just scan the area to see if there's anything around. Sometimes if they do go down like this, they might be down for another couple of minutes, even up to as much as 6 minutes at a time. So it looks like there might be another one joining. So early on we only saw two, but I can see some bubbles coming up here, and it might be another one. There we go. We'll just give it a bit of time. You can just see all these ripples on the water. I think pretty soon one of them is probably going to pop up and like blow that water out of their nostrils. Let's just wait for it. There's one. Another one coming out. Gabriel 11, I am on the eastern side of Ngala today, and hopefully later on when the sun isn't as harsh, because there'll be quite a bit of reflection on the map. I'd love to show you where on the map we are, but we are, if you can imagine Ngala the map, or Ngala the property, just visualize halfway in the middle and then on the far eastern side, so on the right hand side, that is where we are now. And there's a beautiful waterhole here. Now, what's really nice about this waterhole as well is the other day we sat here for quite a while, and I think altogether we counted more than 200 elephants coming down to drink water and then moving. There was a lot of tracks. Myself and Owen, as we were driving here, there was a lot of elephant tracks crossing the road. We thought that we might have even seen some here or get some here, but I think what might have happened is they came through earlier on, drank, and then moved off. But I think if we spend some time here later on, there might be some more elephants that will come down. So, of course, you'll notice that most of the range are all going to the waterholes, because when it's nice and warm, especially this time of the year, the animals tend to go down to water to drink. We're going to probably start carrying on from here, but while we do that, we're going to send you back to Damon at andBeyond Phinda, who's also at a waterhole. Let's see if there's anything there.
Good afternoon and welcome to andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. My name is Damon, and behind the camera we've got Marcel this afternoon. And just like Nikki was saying, and like Taylor was doing as well, we've also started our afternoon at a big waterhole. And just like Nikki at Ngala, we've also got a big pod of hippos. Now, when we arrived, they were all lying on that bank on the other side there. But after sitting here for a few minutes, we noticed the dominant male stand up and walk into the water. And shortly afterwards, there was a massive eruption of fighting and splashing. And it was obvious that the dominant male, had found a hippo that wasn't welcome in his waterhole. Now, see how there's all these little heads that are popping up out of the water, kind of spread out over a bit of a distance. These are all members of this pod of hippos that lives in this waterhole, and they all kind of are dominated over by this dominant bull. But every now and then, because water is in short supply, especially at this time of the year when we're heading into the dry season, you get hippos that come from other areas that are desperate to find a waterhole of their own. And so I think there may have been maybe a young bull that tried to seek refuge here in the water, and the big male, the ruler of this pool, decided that he wasn't having any of it. Look at that. That one hippo just kind of chomping on the surface of the water there. Look at how still and lazy they look.
I'd be the same if I could sit in the water the entire day.
Connor, who's 7 years old, is asking why hippos don't get sunburnt like he does. Connor, it's because these hippos spend a lot of time in the water like they're doing now, where they can keep cool and keep sheltered from the sun. They've also got very dark skin that helps to prevent them getting sunburned. And then on top of that, Connor, they can even produce a kind of acid on their bodies that is thought to help them help to prevent them getting sunburned. It also helps to keep their skin clean and free of bacteria. And I don't know if you've ever seen on a hippo, Connor, there's often bits of pink and orange on the cheeks of the hippo, on the insides of the legs or around the eyes, and that is that special substance that they secrete. See, just kind of lazily bobbing around. Now, it was quite a chilly morning this morning, and I think that's why all these hippos were initially lying out on the bank, just trying to warm up a little bit. But then with all of the commotion of that big bull starting the fight, they all came back into the water. Plenty of activity going on, lots of birds flying around. You might now catch a glimpse of a white-breasted cormorant flying through the screen, and he's now banking and going back.
Just a bit too far.
Just a bit too far for us to film, unfortunately. And I'm pretty sure that a little bit later on this afternoon, oh, here comes the cormorant again, coming for a second pass. It's like he's flying laps of the waterhole. There he goes. And at this time of year, those white-breasted cormorants are nesting here in the dead trees and the waterhole. Mr. Jordan's class, you're asking how big is an adult hippo? Well, Mr. Jordan's class, they can weigh about 2,000 kilograms, maybe even a little bit more, and they can stand about 1.6 meters, if I'm not mistaken, to the shoulder. And I'm just going to show you, I've got a book here that has quite a nice kind of illustration compared to a man. So I'm just going to ask Marcel just to quickly go to the book. There we go. So there is a human, Mr. Jordan's class, and there is a hippo by comparison. So it's a massive, massive animal. Yeah, so they can be about 4 meters long, which, if I'm not mistaken, is about 12 feet in length. And then a big male, like I said, 2,000 kilograms, so about 4,500 pounds, maybe even a little bit more. Just listen to those gentle sounds of them exhaling as they snooze. And quite similar to the sounds that a whale's blowhole or a dolphin's blowhole makes when they exhale. Bit of a snort there. love that steam coming through their nostrils. Okay, we're going to leave this waterhole now, everyone, and we're going to head up into a new area of the reserve that we haven't shown you just yet. But in the meantime, while we head up there, we're going to send you across to Trish, who's got some birds.
I am looking at the tops of trees. That's because there's lots of birds around. Now that on the left, that biggish bird, that's a grey go-away bird. Their sound goes like this. They're quite large. And then we have the dark birds that are really shiny. Where'd you go? There we go. It's really shiny. So if it's really shiny, we say it's glossy. And this one looks like a Cape glossy starling. Actually, oh, did you just throw up something? And it's actually not a Cape glossy starling. It looks like a greater blue-eared glossy starling. Now, both of those birds look very similar, but in the light you could see the bluish ear or a sort of dark patch around the eyes. You'll see it again just as it turns its head. Now, the other type of glossy starling we get here is the Burchell starling, but that one has a longer tail and a dark eye. This one has, as you can see, a yellowy eye. So lots of birds around. There were red-faced mouse birds there too, but they all flew off just as soon as they knew that you could see them. Those sounds you heard going past now, that was them. Sheila, you say you like the sound of go-away birds. Well, Sheila, for you, here is a nice collection of go-away birds on this guari bush. I don't think the sound is bad at all, Sheila. Does make me think a little bit of the sound somebody would make if they wanted to show how disgusted they are with something. And it's kind of the sound of them wanting to throw up and go, ugh. Sometimes they do sound like that, and can't say that one is pleasant, but it's very hard for me to say that any bird's call is unpleasant. Here's a grey go-away bird trying to have a drink. It's down at the water's edge. Yes, you enjoy that drink. Very much. Yes, very nice. Well, let me send you over to some other animals that really enjoy a good drink. That's some buffalo woodtailor.
They do indeed, and I also enjoy a mud wallow. So we've managed to catch up with the breeding herd of buffalo that visited Ndlovu Dam at Eco Training's camp. And they're all just moving through the thicket now. They're actually making a whole bunch of noise. They sound like a herd of elephants breaking branches. But it's just some of the bulls scratching up on trees. I don't know if you can see them. I'm not going to start the car because the herd is actually just settled with us. This is the same breeding. Maybe you remember in the afternoon on the previous sunset safari, but they were very, very nervous, but rightfully so, because they were being chased around by a male leopard. Literally moving from dam to dam at the moment, and there's some fantastic grazing in between. So they love these sort of wooded areas. There is still some green grass available, tucked underneath all the trees. They've got nice thick skin, so they're not afraid to stick their heads into the thorn bushes to use those long tongues that you can see this one is also using to clean its nose. Multi-purpose tongue. But they'll stick their heads right on in and grab hold of the nice long grass. That's another old bull in there. I think he's really, really big, this buffalo that we're looking at. but he's not very, very old. Ian, who's only 10 years old, I'd be very nervous to take on or have a wrestling match with a buffalo. I think that they're very strong animals. And do you know why I think they're one of the strongest? Is because animals like lions love to hunt buffalo, so they like to eat them. And sometimes lions will jump onto the backs of buffalo, and you won't believe it, Ian. Those buffalo, they will bronk and buck like a rodeo horse and try and throw the lions off, and also try and get them with their very sharp horns. And if they can fend off lions, they must be pretty tough. Look at this guy. Look how big he is. He's huge. His stomach is almost dragging on the floor. He's eaten so much. But you can see all the sheer muscle on his body too. But I think the strongest animal that we see out here, Ian, has to be an elephant. They are the biggest land mammal. And there are even some videos on the internet of elephants tossing buffalo up into the air. They get too close, and who knows, maybe over the next month or so we're going to see some crazy action like that, because everybody will be fighting over the water. Isn't that quite cool? How this buffalo cow is, if only she would stand on her tippy toes so we could see her face properly, but she's framed so nicely between the logs. I don't think you can hear it, but she's sort of going turning and staring at us. So she's just making sure that we don't try anything sneaky. But this is amazing. It's so nice to see big herds of buffalo again. And this is a relatively small herd. They can get 5 or 6 times this amount. But I think we'll stick around and see what other interesting things we can find amongst this buffalo herd. Off we go to Steve, who's looking at a herd of impala.
Good afternoon and welcome to my vehicle on Djuma Private Game Reserve. My name is Steve and I'm joined by Davisito on camera, and we are very excited, of course, to have you with us again. Boys and girls and everybody else, we have got some impala over there. I know it's not as exciting as a herd of buffalo. We've got lots of buffalo on the property at the moment, but impala are very common, but very interesting. Their behavior, all the things that they get up to, very, very interesting behavior indeed. And they like to hang out in these groups, as you can see, because some of them are always watching. Safety in numbers, it's what the buffalo do as well. Safety in numbers against lions, but impala are very small, and everything catches an impala, even large eagles and large snakes. So impala are really the go-to when it comes to the prey animal out here in the savannah, and they've evolved to be a very important buffer species. They breed very quickly, very successfully. Their strategies of hiding their babies, and then their behavior of hanging out in these large groups, with the ability to change their diet from one of just grass in the wet season to one of leaves in the dry season. So very good adaptation. And like that, they vanish. And you flick of an ear, you can see them again. They are really quite camouflaged if you think about it. Yes, indeed, everyone's saying how well camouflaged they are. And you wouldn't think it when you saw the impalas out in the open. Those 3 different color variations on the body work perfectly in the sunshine to blend them in. So the reason we've come to this area is, while we were sort of relaxing this afternoon, we heard monkeys shouting. Very loud shout that a monkey does, and it normally means that they've seen a leopard. So we've come into this area to see if we can find any tracks of such a leopard, and so far we've had no luck. We've checked one water point. I'm going to go check another one, because this time of day, nice to drink, and there's a good possibility we might find some drinking. Okay, well, Nikki at andBeyond and Ngala has got something that loves to drink as well. Drinks a lot more than impalas.
So we we're driving away from the waterhole, and not even a kilometer further on, we found this big elephant bull, and he's literally right in front of us in the road. And so we spend quite a bit of time here to see if he's going to move off, or what is he going to do from there. And of course, he might have come down from an area where he already had something to drink, and now what he's going to do is he's going to feed. And you'll notice there's quite a few trees where he's pushed his head in, so he's just trying to grab maybe some of the fresh leaves there. Might be some green grass still from earlier on that he's trying to get to, because most of the grass here, because it's winter, it's really dry. So it might be because it's a bit of a dense area, there might be more water there, and because of that, much more lusher and greener vegetation. But for him, as big as he is, he'll have to eat a lot of food. I think with this bull, he'll probably need to eat at least 200 kilograms or 450 pounds of food a day just to sustain himself. And also, if I look at his back, I just want to grab my binoculars just to have another look, especially around the tail. It does look like this elephant has two different colors, so more of a gray color from his leg all the way up to his tail, and then on the top it looks like a browner, lighter color. So it tells me that he might have even been at the water early on and flicked some mud onto his back. It is a pretty warm day, and all of that just helps to protect him against the sun. So it's like when we put on sunscreen, that's pretty much the elephant sunscreen. So also with elephants, Mr. Jordan's class, with the elephant trunk, it all depends of course on the age of the elephant, but an elephant or this one that we've seen here, once the trunk is fully extended, it will probably be close to 2 meters. Because I'm hoping that this elephant will turn so we can actually see the trunk, but you'll see the trunk looks like it's very wrinkled. And often if they sleep, they'll just extend the trunk completely, and then you can actually see that it goes all the way down, and actually leaving a little bit of the part on the road as well. See, he's turning for us, but we won't be able to see that very clearly. I'm just hoping we do. Now, early on, I also thought that he might have been sleeping, because often with elephants, they do sleep for little bits at a time, and they could be standing up. Sometimes they'll lie down, but with most of the elephants that I've seen, they tend to sleep while standing up. And how we know that is because they'll stop moving, the tail won't even move, their head would just be facing in a particular direction, the ears won't move, and then after a while you'll just see him moving his head and he move on, and that's probably because he had a good sleep before he carried on, either feeding or maybe eventually moving off. But you can see the way that he's moving his tail. He is very, very relaxed. And also I tried to see early on if he was possibly in must. So must is when they have quite a bit of height in their testosterone, so they become a bit more aggressive, and it just doesn't look like he's in must at all. So I think he's just a bull that's just enjoying some of that fresh green leaves on the side there. So we're going to spend some more time with this elephant and see if he moves off. If not, I'm sure we'll get to see a little bit more of him. But while we do that, apparently Damon at andBeyond Phinda found something very interesting in the road. Let's go have a look.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everyone. Now, we've just been driving through some of these dry riverbeds in the southern part of our reserve, and because this area was once underneath the ocean millions of years ago, about 89 to 99 million years ago in the mid to late Cretaceous period, we sometimes find fossils of marine creatures in these old riverbeds, and that's exactly what I found here. Now, this is just a fragment of an ammonite, and if you've never heard of an ammonite before, it's basically a prehistoric cephalopod, so like a squid or an octopus. But it had a shell. It was a bit like a snail shell. So from here it would have had a big round shell like this with a spiral in the middle of it. And out the end here would have been some little tentacles, and it would have kind of squirted around and darted around the ocean millions of years ago. So have a close look there. There's one of those little spirals I was talking about. And what's special about this fossil in particular is that typically when fossils form, any cavities inside them get filled with some kind of rock. And sometimes if there's a cavity that's there for a while, minerals seep into the cavities and you get crystals forming inside the fossil. And that's exactly what that is there. These beautiful crystals that are formed inside of this fossil from millions of years of minerals seeping into it. So pretty strange to think that now we're driving around in a game reserve with like 99 million years ago, we would have been at the bottom of the ocean. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to leave this fossil where we found it, and we're going to carry on heading in a northward direction. Like I say, we're going to a new area that we haven't taken you to just yet, and we're looking forward to showing you some new places, some new plants. Arjun, you're asking if we still learn new things every day while we're out. On the new to learn, you can never know everything. That's one of the most exciting.
Yes, the northwest of Earth is also a millipede fossil, 425 million years old.
So, sorry about losing signal a little bit.
You want to know what I'm up to? I'm busy being jealous about your fossil find. That's what I'm doing. That's just awesome. I quite like them very much. I'll bring two. Well, I didn't manage to find them. It's just amazing if you get to find them, but I do have two. But I will show you what I found the other day. Don't laugh. Now, I don't know what that looks like to you guys, but to me, looks like a dinosaur egg. Also, no evidence to back this up besides the fact that it is round and has at least some sort of shell-like feature. Yeah. I'm a poor man's Damon. Thank you. You all agree with me. It's a dinosaur egg. Thank you. I had enough faith to keep it in the car for 3 days now. So I'm now going to go to the bigger dam on Simbambili. See what's lacking on that side. But so far I haven't found any fresh leopard tracks. I have seen tracks though. Eagle, you say congrats, I found a good quality rock. Eagle, if it is a good quality rock, I'll be very happy because I suspect that's a bit of concrete. It's just ridiculously heavy. You know, sometimes when you grab a rock, you can get a basic idea because your brain is a marvelous machine and it is doing a ridiculous amount of calculations. So you see a shape and you can kind of determine what weight it should be, and this one's too heavy. Anyway, I'm going to send you over to Dylan at Tswalu. I'm sure he must have found some curious items while out and about too.
Welcome back, everyone. It's great to have you on board at Tswalu Kalahari. My trusty steed, old Gendre, on camera there. How's it, Gendre? My name's Dylan. We're going to be heading out. I cannot tell you what we're after, but it's super exciting, like uber exciting. And I would strongly recommend that you keep watching this space. I'm not going to give the game away yet, so you're really just going to have patience. Enjoy what the other guys are doing, because I hear they've been having some amazing sightings as well. So keep sticking with them, and yeah, keep learning with us. And yeah, I think it's going to be a good afternoon. We had a fairly quiet morning this morning, but that's part and parcel of it. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really, really fun afternoon for us. I'm dying to tell you what we're going to see, but I can't. I'm not even going to give you a clue this time, because you might just get it too easily. Okay, Steve's looking for a leopard, so that's also awesome. I think head over there, and then we're going to carry on.
Thanks, Dylan. Yes, well, you're back in the Sabi Sands Djuma Private Game Reserve, boys and girls, and well, we found another herd of impala. You can see how once again they're all together in a group. And impala here are almost one of the most important food sources for the leopards that we have. The lions will hunt them, as well as the wild dog and the cheetah. And there are lots of impala in this area. It's the perfect habitat for impala and for small antelope such as duiker and scrub hare and many of our small little birds. And this is the prime sort of habitat right here for a leopard. Their spots make them camouflaged, make them concealed so that they hide in these thick areas. And most of the prey that they are looking for are also very good at camouflaging in these areas. So now, what exactly is a habitat? Hello, Brianna, age 10. You want to know what kind of habitats leopards need? Well, leopards are, for the most part, a thick, dense vegetation area habitat preferable. That's what they like. And mainly that's because that's where a lot of their food is occurring. The small antelope species. You saw those buffalo with tailor. Those are generally more open plains areas. Zebra as well as wildebeest. A little bit too big for the most part for a leopard. So the more dense vegetation, forested areas are ideal for leopard. Thick bush. Now, what is a habitat, first of all? That we need to understand. Now, habitat is the place where an animal eats, sleeps. What are they looking at? They're looking very alert. These are the signs we're looking for when an impala behaves like that. They haven't shouted though, which means that they're not that concerned, but something's got their attention. So habitats is where animals eat, sleep, and have their babies. Now leopards, of course, will go out of these areas, but if a leopard ever has cubs, they will come back into this thick area to have it. So do lions. Lions also spend a lot of their time out in open areas, depending on what part of the savannah they're in. But when they have their babies, once again, they go into these thickets, little riverine areas with riverbanks and dense clumps of bushes. And if you didn't have the habitat, the animal wouldn't breed, which means they wouldn't be there. We talk about that for birds. Many, many birds require tree nests, so holes in trees to survive or to breed. You won't find them living anywhere that doesn't have that availability. So those are all requirements. And obviously, animals need water. So some animals are more adapted to water conservation than others. What's going on, impalas? Ooh, that Franklin is shouting. Sorry. The Franklin has just made the exact noise I'm looking for. This grr, 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 grr. Now, this morning we had a male leopard around the corner here that we couldn't actually get on camera because he's a very shy boy. Oh, right on that tree there, Darby. There's something going on right there on that bush. What's going on with those birds? Those Franklin, those might be a snake or an owl. Crested barbets are not happy. Barbets were dancing around. Bearded woodpeckers shouting off. You can hear the barbets making that. Now, I've never seen a barbet respond to a leopard before. It's possible there's a mongoose. There could also be a small owl or a snake. This is the prime habitat for all of those animals. You hear the woodpecker tapping now. Okay, well, the birds have stopped now, which makes me feel like it was either a snake or a mongoose. Oh, now the impalas are shouted. Okay, I think it is indeed a leopard. I've never known those birds to react to a leopard before. Let's try and get through here. Did you hear that? That's an impala alarm call. Sure, stay with us. Seem to have a very nice little pathway through here. Got to go slowly. The Franklins are on the floor. There's impalas over there. Now, oh, Tammy, there is definitely something afoot. Problem is if it is our skittish male leopard, we're not going to see him, but I'm hoping that it's our queen, Tundi, and her little cub. This is the area that she had her cub in the first time Tristan saw her not long ago. But it's getting a little bit bumpy in here. Just go over this log in front of me here, nice and gently. Not so gently. Straight over we go. Now right over here is where Tristan first had her. Now I wouldn't be surprised if she's in the same spot, but if it's the boy, Mwati, we're not going to see them. Sorry, Darby. Just listen again. Impalas are still shouting behind me. They're looking this way. Penelope, your ears are wide open. Can you do the kudu ear for me? And the impalas sometimes will still shout even when they don't see the leopard. They'll still make a noise and look in the general direction where they last saw it. Now there's a tree that's been pushed over here, so let's try to get around it. Okay, very good. Well, we're going to see if we can find out where and who and what is going on here. And while we do that, let's go to Damon, who's stopped to look at some vegetation.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda. Now, we've entered a new part of the reserve, like I said, an area we haven't brought you to just yet. And I'd like to show you on the map where we are. So, This is where we've been kind of exploring with you for the last couple of days, the far south of the reserve. We're now way up here in this light green belt over here. And this light green represents a special habitat type called palm felt. And it's characterized by that tree over there, which is called a lala palm. And the name lala coming from the Zulu word which means to lie down, which comes from a kind of wine that people that live in this area of South Africa, in Mapuche land, people drink it. They tap into the heart of the palm, and then out of that hole comes this liquid that is apparently quite pleasant tasting, and if drank in too large a quantity can make you apparently quite drunk, hence the need to lie down afterwards, or to lala. And it's a very special plant though, because it's found, this is one of the main areas where it's found, but it's also the only tree that a very special bird nests in. And I would like to show you a picture of the bird. It's this one over here. It's called a lemon-breasted canary. And have a look at that photograph over there. That's its nest. And see how the nest is kind of between two palm fronds. So this little lemon-breasted canary only nests in these lala palm trees. And although there's none growing now, they produce a little nut that, if you were to take away the fruity covering, which is apparently quite pleasant tasting, and elephants and baboons and lots of different kinds of animals like to eat it, but it leaves like an ivory, it's basically plant ivory that you can carve things out of. So, very useful tree. And because of all of its uses, it's also a tree that gets pretty heavily utilized by the local people, so for the wine, but then also those leaves. Also, those leaves can be used to weave into baskets and be used to make roofs in rural parts of Africa. Now, the first 45 minutes of drive is up, so we're now open to all questions, so please send them through. Yeah, fascinating little plant that is native to this area, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of them the further north we go. But while we keep on heading northwards to see what else we can find for you, we're going to send you across to Nikki at andBeyond in Ngala to see what he has for you.
So we just found a hyena. Oh, and I can see him now. This hyena is moving in the road. So this is the area where we saw the Makoti male this morning. So seeing a hyena moving in that direction is a good sign that maybe that leopard has made a kill. So what we're going to do is follow this hyena for a little while and see if it eventually gets to where that leopard was this morning. Now, as I said, from where this hyena is now, I'm just going to stop here in the shade and then we'll focus on the hyena. But from here to where that leopard was seen is not even 100 meters, so it's very, very close. You can see how the hyena is now just scanning around, probably also smelling the air. So while we follow this hyena to see if he eventually brings that out to that leopard, we're going to send you across to Leopard Islands because apparently she has some elephants fighting.
We do have two young bulls sparring currently. It seems as though our dear friend, the collared bull, has just popped out on the left-hand side, and he's much larger than the two that have been shoving one another around. And I reckon he'll sort them both out. So just for the record, Elephants Alive have suggested that this elephant is a fella by the name of Kumo. So that's quite cool. Pretty much see him every single game. Today he was all the way in the east. Oh, this elephant is shaking his head at us. Oh boy, you've been a big show-off this afternoon. Very big and scary. I'm not particularly worried about this youngster. He's really asserted his dominance over us. They are very naughty at this stage, as I'm sure you've seen over the lives. Especially since he was just butting heads with another fella. You can see how those bigger bulls, the youngsters, out and get them to behave. All he had to do, or could do, was push that one fellow just one time, show him how much stronger he is. But there is another bull just to our right. He's feeding this way, slowing off now. Yes, elephants are typically quite sassy animals, especially when they are young bulls. What I will do in a moment is I'll just go to the corner to see if we can get a better view, because we're about to lose all of them. Shall we do that? Okay, let's read. So we've arrived at the other dam that we pretty much every single day, which is Leopard Dam. So we had the female with young cub track moving around here. Oh, they're fighting again. This bull that shook his head at us is quite cheeky. He's causing all kinds of havoc. Keeping my eye on them. See how the bull on the left is at a bit of a disadvantage. And now, of course, they've stopped. I was hoping you sounds of them clashing their tusks together. It's fairly close. One right down to his knees. And I think Kumo is coming once more. He's not. It's another young bull. But again, this is not a serious fight. This is just two young boys trying to figure out who's stronger. The one on the right is smaller. Well, he's not as tall as the Ellie on the left. And this is normal. It's important for them to this. Developing muscle and trying to figure out the hierarchy system. Hello. Sorry, I'm just going to, because at the moment they're not really worried. Hi. Can you guys not push one another into the car? So what happens here, and it happens all the time, is that they're sated on one another, that they don't really realize where they're pushing each other, sitting there nicely. So all I do there is, and then watch again. Now we've got Elith fighting at 3 angles. Oh yes, and of course they're going to fight underneath the marula tree. I think we'll try and stick with these Ellie bulls for a little bit longer, as this could be quite exciting, but off to Djuma Private Game Reserve to see what's happening.
Not much is happening this side. I am on my way out of Simbambili. It's been really quiet. And in my dead marula here, I don't have something as exciting as Taylor did. But still, it is a dove. Hello, Cape Turtle Dove. You don't get enough screen time, do you? I think anything against the blue sky looks stunning. Even if it's a dried marula. I don't want to say even if it's Cape Turtle Dove, because Cape Turtle Doves deserve love and attention too. Cleaning all the feathers. Yes, take care of yourself. It's very quiet. Just have a listen. Oh, there's some faint bird calls. It's very calm, very calm out here. I have only seen birds so far. Today, oh no, I did see one hippo. I feel like I miss seeing large animals. There are drongos and starlings just in the sky galore in front of us. If you just heard that, that was actually the sound of them. Oh no, there must be a lot of insects in the air that are really, really small. Just in the sky in front of us, BK, with all the starlings all over the place. Samantha, you say it's an aggressive preening. It certainly is an aggressive preening, but you want to make sure that all your flight gear is good and ready to go and well maintained. Very good, Dove. Oh no, now all the other birds I wanted to show you in the sky have all flown away. It's just like drongos and starlings descended upon the skies looking for insects. Ooh, BK, over on this side we have a lilac-breasted roller and the dried marula on the right. On the right, on another marula across the road. Just all the way on top there. Yes. And left. And up. Ta-da! Hello, gorgeous. So pretty. Against that blue sky and the bones of this marula tree. Just stunning. Gorgeous. All right, from one pretty bird to another, as Emma says, let's send you over to Steve with a barbet.
We were looking at a barbet, Trish. We had it beautifully on camera. We're still working this area. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Steve, and I'm with Davisito on camera. Now, we've just come back to our jittery, jumpy alarm calling impala. And we're going to ask them, ladies and young sirs, where is the leopard that you were shouting about, or have you forgotten already? You know, everyone, because these animals are hunted by absolutely everybody. By everybody, then basically, when they see something move through the long grass, such as a warthog or even a duiker sometimes, they freak out and they go, they start shouting. Something definitely alarmed called the Franklins, which got the barbets going, and that was enough to get the impala to the edge of their seat. And see, they're still alert. Oh, Darby, we've got some dust bathing in front of us, yeah? Now, there is some very relaxed Franklins. Ooh, hello. Come on, show us again. Dust bath. You might ask, why on earth would an animal dust bath? Now, birds preen every day, and preen is basically the ability to take oil from a preen gland, which is above their rump, and they smear it on their feathers to keep them from getting wet and waterlogged. So it's a waterproofing agent, and sometimes they overdo the preen. And the best way, sorry about the car being
So just to let everyone know, we saw that hyena moving, and then eventually from there on it started heading into the river. Unfortunately, we couldn't follow from where it went, and we couldn't see the leopard. So there's a particular area here in the central part of the reserve, and there's a big Ngala tree. So we're just trying to see if there's any signs of that leopard up in the tree. I said to Owen, what I might just do eventually is just go down on a little walk and see if there's any tracks or possibly signs of this young male. You know what I think we'll do from here, Owen, is so there's a beautiful riverbed on this side. Now, the direction that leopard was moving in was almost from where that big tree was, over the road into this direction here. So let's go all the way around into the river, and then we'll do a whole loop around. If we don't find anything in the river, what I want to do is later on this afternoon we'll come back here and then maybe see if we need to do just a little walk in to see if there's any signs. If not, I'm sure he might have moved, and probably don't know if he caught impala earlier on, or he's probably gone into the shed, and that's where he's lying down at the moment. But for now, let's carry on. Let's go into the river. It's going to be such a beautiful scene. Avani, so hyenas sometimes, if they give those, it sounds like giggles. It's often excitement. So whenever there's a carcass, you'll hear them calling like that or laughing like that. And then often it attracts other hyenas as well, especially if there's some lions around or leopard and they're trying to chase them away or intimidate them to get to the carcass. Then they'll call the other ones, and that's normally when you hear that what sounds like a laugh. But I have heard it quite a few times, and it's pretty special. It's not always what you hear. Sometimes you just hear like a loud, like whoop. But it would be amazing if we do find this leopard. Imagine if we do, and there's a carcass with some hyena. I don't want to jinx myself, but I mean, those are always options out in the bush. Even, you just never know. Maybe there's a chance of lions. Also the same. So when we do drive and we do get to more open areas, this is where, of course, we'll start looking out for potentially wild dogs or cheetah. So while we're going to carry on and see if we can find this leopard here, let's cross our fingers and I hope that Steve also finds that leopard that he might be looking out for. But for now, I think he's still listening out to this impala's alarm calling, or just trying to find out if they're alarm calling. We'll send you to him.
Thanks, Nikki. We're going to stay with these ladies and young gentlemen. I wanted to talk to you about, just on the left there, Darby. Let's see if there's the gentleman. Those two. Are they going to do it again? They've been doing some wonderful aloe grooming, these two ladies. Now, what aloe grooming is, essentially, is see how she's grooming herself now? Now, there are bits and pieces of an animal's body that they can't reach. And impalas are very good at doing it. They'll come up to a friend, a colleague, a sister, and she's going to ignore her completely. And they will rub or scratch them on their face or the neck area exactly where they want to be groomed themselves. And then it gets reciprocated. It's a very interesting thing to see, and it's a sign that the rutting season is officially over when you start seeing male impala doing it, because they are so testosteronally built up and on edge the whole time that you... Oh, there's two boys doing it there. There's two boys in the middle. Where are they now? Oh, I can't see them now. There were two boys. Let's see if I can find them. Here we go, right in the middle, over this bush here. You see the two boys there? There we go, those two boys there. They were doing it. Now, these young boys, these are only yearlings. You can't really look at them and think, okay, aloe grooming. There's no testosterone in them at the moment. But the boys, when the mature adults at the moment, they are so tightly strung that they go near each other. They just want to fight. So they've always got this gap, separation between them. You won't find them as herded together as you do with this herd of impala, with the one male standing guard and all the females with last year's offspring. So aloe grooming is a very good thing. It's a good way of removing ticks and parasites from the head and neck region. That obviously is very difficult to do yourself. Nigh impossible, in fact. And so it's one of those strategies that you do to me and I'll do it to you. Well, Mr. Maloney, I don't know what they eat. There we go. They are browsers. That is a buffalo thorn tree with incredibly sharp, pointy and hooked thorns. So impala are a mixed feeder. When you see them scratching each other, they're not really looking to eat the parasites that they scratch off, but no doubt, I've never seen an impala spitting out after they've done some grooming, so it's possible that some of that protein is ingested, but they're busy chewing now. That is ruminating. They've got a belly full of leaves and grasses and forbs and whatever it is that they've selected to as a diet, and then they go and find a nice shady spot like you see now. And let's just watch that one in the middle. Keep watching the chewing. And as soon as she's chewed it sufficiently, watch the throat. Oh, did you see that? That was the bolus, the chewed cud from the mouth, just going down into the tummy, and then another ball of vegetation coming back up. Watch it again. It'll happen again, any one of these. Let's watch that one in the middle of the screen. So it's masticating, adding saliva, chopping up the particles into much smaller particles. The more chopped up it is, the larger the surface area there is for bacteria and microbial breakdown in the tummy. There we go. Watch the throat again. And there we go. Back again. So everybody, they're just basically regurgitating into one's mouth. And that is what a rumination is essentially. The leaf particles that are whole and solid sits on top of the stomach, and the smaller particles filter to the bottom. If you've ever made tea with large leaves or chopped leaves, the chopped leaves fall to the bottom of the cup and the large leaves sort of float on the top. Does it make sense? And so once those leaf particles are chopped up to very small particles and covered in saliva, the saliva is full of microorganisms, and they are protein-based, and they help the breakdown of those plant parts. And then in the second stomach, all of those plant parts are basically absorbed, or the nutrients, and the bacteria and microorganisms are reabsorbed as well. So that protein is basically re-established in the body or reutilized. All that they need to do is drink water to assist in supplementing the saliva once more. There we go. Even the boy's chewing now. You see how much bigger he is to the girls. Now, Rico, I think it is fantastically interesting, in fact, these animals' adaptations to the landscape. Isn't he a magnificent fellow? I think she's won the lottery with all these ladies, but I don't know if he was able to mate with any of them, but he's hanging around and all of them are impregnated. But anyway, andBeyond Phinda seems to have had some success this afternoon, so let's send you over there.
Who also won the lottery, it appears. They've managed to kill a giraffe, and the carcass is a little bit behind us, so we'll go and have a look at it a bit later if these lions do go to it and start to feed. But for now, their bellies are full. They've obviously feasted on the giraffe kill. Oh. Must have gotten a nose full of a scent of some sort that he felt he needed to just lift his head and see what was coming. Now, he's lying here in front of us, and his brother is lying a bit behind us, a little bit closer to the carcass. And so we're going to sit with these male lions, if that giraffe in question didn't try to come down to drink and then get surprised by these two male lions. Often when a giraffe drinks, when they put their heads down towards the water, they're quite vulnerable, with their neck being low, their head being low to the ground. Because if a male lion, even one by him like this, were to grab a hold of that giraffe's head, it wouldn't be able to lift its neck up again. And that lion would be able to grab its throat or grab its mouth and then kill it. Although the way that he's lying now, you wouldn't say that he would be capable of killing anything. He looks so peaceful and sleepy. Look at how his tummy is heaving up and down. So like we said, it's been quite a warm day. The sun has been very intense, and that heat must have been exacerbated by having a tummy full of meat. So like I said, we're going to stick with these male lions for a bit, and I'm pretty sure once it gets cooler, they might get up and go and feed again. But while we wait, we'll send you across to Taylor, who's got some elephants for you.
We're still sitting and everything has calmed down, which is wonderful, although it was quite entertaining having those boys push one another around, but they've settled in and are feeding on the marula tree that they're just standing underneath now. They were stretching up, but we'll see if they do stretch up again and reach for some of the higher branches. You can even hear them crunching on all the woody pieces they're picking up. And then, of course, no one wants to crunch on one, so you can't hear it. But it always just amazes me how the scene goes from, high energy then to very calm in just a few seconds. I think they've grown tired of the playfulness. But ears are flapping and tails are swatting all those biting insects around. There are lots of them today. It's nice and hot, like I said earlier. Now, if they would just go into the water and have a swim and cover themselves a mouth. Off you go to Tswalu. It seems as though they've got something unbelievable, and I can't believe what they've just found.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm not going to be talking loudly, so I'm hoping you can hear me. We have the most amazing animal here. One of our tracking teams located a ground pangolin. This is insane. We are miles away from anywhere. Look at that, we're in the middle of nowhere. The guys picked up and tracked a ground pangolin. The reason I'm talking softly, and Jandre and I are still about 10 yards from it, is we want to disturb it as little as possible, so it actually continues feeding and doing what it should be doing. So we're just going to have to be really, really patient. Sometimes you're going to... Sometimes you're going to see it coming out. Sometimes it's going to go into the bushes. This is just going to be a patience game. If it goes and hides away, then we'll go to one of the other reserves and we'll come back again later. But this is so special to find these animals. This is like the unicorn of game viewing. So we're incredibly lucky. It's going to come out. I'm hoping it's going to come out. You can just see the movement by the bush. So what they do, that little animal is actually foraging for ants and termites inside that bush clump. Those of you who joined us this morning, some of you were, some of you weren't. But those ants that we were looking at this morning, that's one of the important species for them. And then we get another genus here called Aloe. Those are very, very important food items for these little guys. The reason we don't want to disturb them, apart from not being good to disturb an animal, is pangolins and aardvark really, really battle in winter if you've had a bad summer rainfall season. Now, this past one was okay, but the previous seasons we've had have been quite poor rainfall, so there hasn't been a lot of food around for them. So they need a lot of energy, and if they're foraging At night now it's super cold, and there's very little prey items around, so they normally come out late afternoon like this one is, and then they forage. But if it's been a poor rain season, they're actually not going to be able to eat enough to get enough energy, and that's why it's super important that we disturb them as little as possible so they carry on feeding. You know, however amazing it is to see a pangolin, we don't want to disturb them to the point where we're compromising them, same as with any animal. And you can see this one's moving occasionally. We've actually seen his tongue flicking in and out, so it's actually feeding. So we just need to be very, very, very patient. And he'll come out into the open just now when he's finished up there. We just need to, like I say, we can't go close, unfortunately. And Gendre is doing an incredible job here. The poor guy's like standing, it's all handheld, no tripod. So I'm ecstatic, I'm over the moon. So they feed, like most of their diet is ants. Now, Alicia, I agree with you. This is absolutely fantastic. I think fantastic is, for me, is like almost an understatement. I mean, you know, in my entire time working in the bush, Tswalu has consistently produced, of all the places I've worked in, Tswalu has consistently produced pangolins. But it's, even here, it is an incredibly challenging species to locate and follow. And our long-term pangolin researcher, Wendy Paneno, she's been working on these animals for 5 years now. I mean, she knows what they think, what they breathe, what they eat, where they sleep, everything about them. It's just really incredible. But even with that, we're still kind of like scratching the surface in terms of understanding their whole ecology and that. So we've still got a lot of unanswered questions. But this is gold to find these. So even if you go across to any of the other reserves, Gendre and I, we're just going to stick here. We're not going to go anywhere at all. And please feel free to ask questions. This is incredible. I'm like, yes. Rosemary, I love meeting someone with the same kind of humor as me. And some of my friends will cringe when I say that, but I often say that to people as pangolins look like artichokes. But I do agree with you. And yes, they're just incredible. And I love the way that sun's catching the scales there. And what's really encouraging for Gendre and myself to see this is that it's moving around, it's feeding. The moment they're stressed or they're worried, they just roll up into this very tight ball. And that's obviously their protection, and they don't move at all, and they can sit like that for hours and hours and hours. So the fact that this one's like moving from point to point to point inside this thicket, and these little bushes that he's feeding under are called grey camel thorns. A grey camel thorn because of the leaf colour. They've got thorns, and a giraffe enjoy feeding on them, and maybe camels too once upon a time. But the Afrikaans name for a giraffe is a kameelperd, which means a camel horse. So hence the name of this bush, grey camelthorn. And the ants love living inside these little bush clumps. So these pangolins will often go from bush clump to bush clump to bush clump, feeding on them. This is amazing. And like I say, we mustn't worry that it's got some grass cover in between. I'm more comfortable knowing that we're getting a view of it through some vegetation and not disturbing it, rather than trying to get in on top of it and like having like, oh yeah, there's a pangolin, you know, and it's not doing anything. So yeah, we're just going to spend as much time here as we need. If it's the next 2 hours, that's what we'll do. But this is just, yes, this is incredible to see. I wish you were all here with us. I know you are here with us, but I just wish you were standing here with us. So Steve is doing some birding, and I hope they've actually got their lemon-breasted canary. I think that's a really, really good one for that Phinda area.
We just had a grey-headed kingfisher, everybody. Not as exciting as a pangolin, I'm not going to lie, but it's one of those not commonly seen Kruger National Park birds that are only seen in certain parts of the Kruger. Northern Kruger, Prrivate being one of them, and down here I've seen about 6. Oh he's gone. Brown hood. Sorry about that. We moved on from our very relaxed grooming impalas. We're slowly heading on up, right there. Got him there? Can I switch? Forward. Oh, there, I can see it. This gap here, Darby. There we go. You got him there? There you go, everybody. It's a grey-headed kingfisher. Now, you can't really tell that now, but it's actually quite easy to see. You can look down on the bottom right. He's got a little bit of rufous there by his leg. And the entire head, the hood, is grey. Now, if you turned around, you'd see that his chest is brown up to sort of the belly button area, or should I say the chest area, with a grey head. How awesome. Now, many of the people who are maybe new to the show, this might be a new bird for you. Kingfisher before. Sorry about any audio issues there. I was leaning forward. I must have brushed my microphone. It's a woodland specialist. We obviously use the word kingfisher, meaning they like to hunt fish. But not all kingfishers are fish eaters. Most of them, in fact, are insect eaters. Like this one. They will take frogs, insects. All kingfishers do go to the water, but their habitat variation is quite important. It's what distributes them. If they all hung around the water, they would have to specialize with each other. There we go. There's a wonderful shot. Oh, and off he goes. There you go. Well, let us know if that's a new bird for you, grey-headed kingfisher. Very, very cool bird. On we go. So, we're slowly making our way back into the area where we had a skittish male leopard this morning. Got a very strong feeling that probably was him that scared the impalas as well, but it also might have been a slender mob, a bit jittery. This is the ideal habitat for our cats. Tundi's denned here, the lions have all denned in this river. Nice, Hannah, I'm glad that's a new bird for you. Always nice to keep lists. Nice to keep a bird list. And I'm sure you're probably getting some nice birds from the western side as well. Okay, before the fast-moving pangolin runs away, let's quickly send you back over to Tswalu Kalahari.
So this little, excuse me, this little pango's just got its nose stuck. Not stuck, literally, just figuratively. Inside it can just moving now. So yes, it had its nose stuck in an ant's nest, what we assume is to be an ant's nest. And just still feeding away. And they can sit in a bush like this for hours on end if there's a suitable prey base. In other words, if there's a nice ant's nest, a couple of ant's nests, they can sit there for ages before they move out. And yes, I'm just still blown away that the guys managed to track this. Like I said, we are so far away from anything. And the guys just put in a huge amount of effort there. So that just shows the skills of our tracking team. Obviously, many of you may have heard how threatened pangolins are worldwide in terms of the illegal wildlife trade. There's 8 different species, 4 in Africa, 4 in Asia, and all of them are vulnerable or endangered. And this species is no exception. This is the ground pangolin, African ground pangolin, or Temminck's pangolin. And aside from all the research that's been done, and some of the best research ever on pangolins has been done on Tswalu by Wendy, and yet, as I was saying earlier, we still know so little about their lives, their habits, how long they live, how fast they grow, how do they disperse? I mean, what distances do they disperse? We've had pangolins moving in a week 30 kilometers in a straight line. That's a young male that's dispersing from point A to point B, from where he was first located to where he was located again 10 days later. So let's say in a week, just over a week, he moved 30 kilometers. That's a straight line distance. And remember, they're not walking in a straight line. They are zigzagging, foraging, going into little bush clumps like this, looking for things to eat, coming out. So who knows what distance he may have covered in total to get from point A to point B there. So we don't, and then he disappeared. We don't know where they go to and how far they move. I love wild dogs. We will definitely show you a pangolin track when we get a gap. Of course, we're going to make every effort not to disturb this animal whatsoever. So Jandra and I are not going to go closer. But if we see, and of course we don't want to leave it at the moment, so we'll just stick with it. And later when we leave it, we'll try get a nice clear view of a pangolin track. And of course, over the coming months, coming weeks and months and days, if we see any good pangolin tracks on the roads, because we're always looking out for those, we will 100% stop and show everyone what a pangolin tracks look like. They're actually very, very cute, very sweet little tracks. And while we're talking about the tracks, on that question there is, many people don't know that pangolins actually don't walk on all four legs. Their normal gait is just on their two hind legs. That's all. And they use their tail as a counterbalance to their forequarters. Because obviously, if they're just walking on their hind legs, if they didn't have a tail, they'd keep falling over. So the tail's very, very important for balance. And and occasionally they'll use their front legs a little bit, especially if they're going very, very slowly, and if they're digging. They're exceptionally good diggers, but not at the speed that like an aardvark or a honey badger would dig up. Which leads me on to another question. Now that we have our miscreant honey badger kind of in the general picture, remember the meerkat and badger incident, those of you who were following, we've recorded on Tswalu honey badgers actually killing pangolins. And that's, again, that might sound awful, but that's nature. That's what they do. That's why pangolins have got such amazing scales. It's no surprise that they are armored like that, because they've evolved over millions of years in the presence of large predators, including lions, including honey badgers, including spotted hyena, including brown hyena. There's all sorts of things that can potentially prey on a honey badger, but they don't always get it right. We've seen on Tswalu on many occasions as well, a lion pride actually locating a pangolin, finding it, and then what they do is they play with it, as lions do. Many of you that have been on safari or joined us on WildEarth, seeing these live safaris, you see how much lions play with things. Often it's with a tortoise or a piece of wood or a feather or whatever. Lions do that, and it's commonly encountered where apparently last year there was even a sighting in the Masai Mara with lions playing with a pangolin. So there we go. That just kind of backs it up. So we've seen that on Tswalu, and normally what happens is the lions kind of lose interest and they move off, the pangolin moves off, everyone lives happily ever after. We have recorded it occasionally in summer months when it gets very, very hot, when they should be out foraging at night, not in the day, where lions have located them at some point in the evening and they stick with them right into the heat of the day. Pangolins can normally die of stress like that, heat stress. So it's not unknown, but by and large, they are pretty pretty well defended against most of the normal predators that would be going for them. But what a remarkable animal. I'm just so lucky we've seen this. So great job to the trackers. But anyway, we're going to sit this out, and so I think head back to the elephant sighting. That'll be pretty good.
Well, at least finally they're coming to me, Dylan. After an hour of grass and trees, this elephant has decided to take a walk towards me. By the way, how was that pangolin? Just amazing. Oh, elephant bull here. He's feeling a bit testosterone-y, if I may. You'll see as he comes by. Took his trunk, and before I even arrived here, his trunk was kind of laid over his tusk. Just playing with his trunk a lot. Thanks for that, BK. Just to give you an idea, now you see that trunk? Okay, you're gonna need a bit of shouting, I think. But I'm gonna wait till you get nasty. Okay. But you be a good boy. Alright, you be a good boy. Hey. Hi, gorgeous. Hi, gorgeous. I promise I'm your friend. How cool. Amazing. It's so important to wait and watch their behavior. He was definitely had a certain way about him as he approached us. That's why I said I might have to shout at him. But you could see he just needed to check us out and carried on without an issue at all. Just too gorgeous. Well, if you enjoy learning about the different behaviors of animals, and most of all getting to experience this live safari, please do go over to our support page and do what you can so that we can continue to do what we do. Anna Marie, you say you're holding your breath the whole time he was in front of me. It can be really, really intimidating. It really can. You do not realize how massive an elephant is until it's right up close to you. They get big very quickly. And you realize that all he has to do is nudge your vehicle, and you're in trouble. It is very intimidating. This is quite interesting because he drank at one point and then moved along, and if he continues to move along looking for good quality water, then I suspect that the water at Treehouse Dam has some sort of contaminant. I don't mean in sort of a disease sort of way or poison sort of way. But maybe there's a lot of bacteria making it anoxic, or algae that is changing the taste of the water somehow, because you don't see animals as much as you would think here. But it seems that he's happily drinking now. Alright, I'm going to watch him for a little bit, and then I'm going to head up to the Hyena Den, and I'll send you over to Steve and his sassy Ellie.
Welcome back, everyone. We've got two young bulls around us. This young bull over here just gave us a little bit of a show. Hence why Trish said he's been a bit sassy. Notice how he's feeding now, but you see how he's got his left shoulder. He's watching us. Elephants are always alert, unless they're completely relaxed. When you think an elephant's not watching you, it's like a horse. Oh, the Kingfisher's back. This is a brown-hooded. There's a brown-hooded Kingfisher. You can see the difference with the whitish sort of face, the red beak with the black on the end, and no brown belly, no brown chest, but a streaky, dirty head. Easy to remember, streaky, dirty head, because they live in cavities in the riverbanks, dirty from the riverbank. Nice to remember. I'm quite a fan of doing some birding while watching other animals. Hope you don't mind. So this is by far the more common of the kingfishers we find in the woodland areas. Obviously the woodland kingfisher is very common in the summer months, but they migrate back. Intra-African migrants. There's this fella's here all the time. This is a lovely image. Our kingfishers like to hunt. They sit on the edge of a branch and try and look for any movement of insects. He was probably attracted to the elephant that was moving through the long grass and waiting for the elephant to disturb an insect, which he then would, or she would, go and catch. Wonderful turquoise colour. Love WildEarth, what a name you've got there. The kingfishers are just awesome, you say. Yes, they are. You see he's trying to size up some prey animal, and their hunting strategy is one of plunging. They'll just fly down and land on an insect that's on the ground. And, we've got the elephant bull is coming behind us. I think he wants to come and drink. The elephants have dug a little hole in the ground behind us. He's not going to come too close. He's a bit weary of our presence now. He's just going to feed over there. We can't really move, and the kingfisher's gone off, but we're going to try and get in a better position to show you these elephants, and in the meantime Dylan has still got a wonderful sighting.
Okay, Genre and I are trying to move as little as possible and make as little noise as possible. This animal's just been feeding inside this bush. It's aware of us, but so far it seems quite relaxed. So we've got to be as careful as we can. I've actually walked away from where Yandra is. So I'm about 20 yards behind Yandra now. So there's as little disturbance there as possible. It's just nice that you can actually see what that pangolin's doing. like I say, it's been scratching at the base of the trees and that, but tucked away inside the thicket. So I'm really hoping it's going to come out. I don't know yet if it's a male or a female, and I wouldn't even hazard a guess just looking at it. Even if it's out in the open, you'd really need to have it up close and personal before you could actually to tell that. Certainly not at my level of skill. And while I've got everyone, and we focus on pangolins, I just want to say, Wendy Panano, our long-term pangolin researcher, she's devoted 5 years of her life just to pangolins. She's in the final throes of finishing a PhD on them, and it's her birthday today. So if any of you happen to know Wendy, send her a birthday wish. She'll appreciate it. So we thought we'd get pangolin for her today as a nice little gesture. I'm just over the moon that our trackers got this. I mean, the skills of our trekking team just always blow me away. You know, you think sand is easy to track on? Well, I'll challenge anyone to do that, because it's not nearly as easy as one would think. So the really cool thing, a pangolin's baby is called a pup. Same as a dog, it's called a pup. I've never heard anyone call it a puppy yet, but they're called pups, and they normally have one a year. Kind of what it seems to be, one a year, and around about September month they'll have those youngsters. But as I was mentioning early, we have no idea in terms of how they disperse. We have very, very little understanding as yet of their whole ecological role. Obviously they're ant and termite eaters, and they hit those nests properly, so I'm sure that'll be a large part. And Wendy's PhD is really focused on the physiology of these animals and the impacts of climate change, or the potential impacts of climate change on pangolins as a species. So yes, this is just super, super, super exciting to be able to have you with us on this and actually see, here's a real life pangolin. This is amazing. I get excited about these kind of things. You can't not. You can't see a pangolin and not get excited about it. I'd still love to see like the other ones, all the different tree pangolins and giant ground pangolins, and but I think those would be way more challenging than these to see. So I think while we just sticking with this little one and what it does, head over to Phinda and see what they've got on that side.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everyone. We're still with this male lion, and he has given us the joy of it's about all the movement we've gotten out of him. So in the meantime, we went to go and investigate the giraffe carcass, and it looks like these male lions may have killed this giraffe a few days ago. The carcass is already starting to decay quite a bit. The smell is quite pungent, and it's likely that these male lions killed this giraffe a couple of days ago, and they've just been hanging around this area now, just here. So water for them to drink, there's shade for them to lie under. So there hasn't really been reason for them to leave their carcass. Oh, look at his legs, he's dreaming. Look at his back legs, they're twitching. I don't know if you were able to see that, his back legs were kicking. If any of you have got a dog or a cat at home, when they're sleeping, I'm sure you've seen them have those little dreams, those little spasms where their paws start to twitch. That's exactly what this male lion was doing. We're going to stay with this male lion, and we're hoping that when he becomes a bit more active. But while we enjoy our sunset, we're going to send you across to Trish, who's got an elephant that's busy taking on a tree.
He is magnificent. Look at that light. He's right in front of the sun. See how he's laying his trunk on the ground? He's standing very still. He's listening. He's not terribly huge, but he still is a big bull. Hey, boy. Hey, boy. Hello. Hello. It's okay. Hi. Was that water good? Or was it not that nice? I saw you spit out quite a bit of it. Hey, boy. Hey. Hi. No touchy. No. There's some other water. Down at Twin Dams, there's some nice water. Why don't you... Shame. I have a feeling that maybe he's a little musty. But I don't see him dribbling. But his behavior, wrapping the trunk around the tusk. And obviously you can see that he was fully exposing himself earlier in the other segment. And then on top of that, not having water that he liked, sure just made him just a little bit uncomfortable. Oh, Rachel, you say you show him, Trish? I wish I didn't have to, Rachel. I think he was just I didn't move at all. He saw us the whole time. So I think he's got a couple hormones coursing through him. They'll experience their first must around 30 or so. And maybe that's what's going on. Maybe he's experiencing it for the first time. Doesn't have the obvious signs, but just a little bit itchy. Anyway, I'm glad that you could see that. I'm going to send you over to Dylan. He's keeping his voice a lot more quiet than I was at Tswalu.
We're still just waiting for this pangolin to come out. And we really... It's been feeding. It moved across to the right, was doing some proper digging there. And now it's just moved over to the left and seems to have got stuck into another part of the ant's nest. So I wonder if that's like all one ant colony. I would imagine so. But I'm not sure about that. And they've got these incredibly long, sticky tongues, and they can reach easily 30 centimeters plus down an ant's nest. But normally what they do is they'll dig they'll dig it open a bit, and then this tongue goes to work, lapping up ants, and it's a very sticky, thick tongue, like a cylindrical tongue, and the ants get stuck all over that, and when it goes into the mouth, it actually gets ground up by the stomach. They don't have teeth. Pangolins don't have teeth at all. I mean, they're dealing with little ants and termites. It's very, very soft stuff. So the strong muscular stomach is actually what does the job of crushing up these ants and termites. They do ingest a bit of sand with it as well, obviously. You know, they have this big sticky tongue catching ants and termites on sand. But certainly not to the extent of aardvark. If any of you are ever lucky enough to be out with us, or we privileged enough to have you, rather, if you're following aardvark around, you actually find their droppings, and they actually feel like clay. They feel very, very, very heavy. There's just lots and lots and lots of sand in it. Pangolins, not so much, but plenty of ants. Yeah, so we're just going to be very, very, very patient here. Really want to disturb this animal as little as possible. It's feeding nicely, which is so key. Lisa, a lot of animals can prey on pangolins. Honey badgers on Tswalu are well known for killing pangolins. I've never seen it, but I'm sure a spotted hyena, if it had a chance, would probably not pass up the opportunity of killing a pangolin. I've seen leopards playing with pangolins, and again, remember that play behavior is not because lions and leopards are lying around and they're bored and they feel like playing with a pangolin. They're playing with it on the off chance that the thing unrolls or uncurls or gives them some kind of opportunity for actually injuring it and killing it. So there's a lot of things that would go for them. What we don't know in terms of pangolins are things like diseases. What diseases impact on pangolins? You know, perhaps there's something out there. You know, obviously with this whole COVID crisis, there was kind of concern about pangolins. But in terms of pangolins in the wild, we know extremely little about their day-to-day ecology. You know, the physiology and understanding how they're interacting with ants and termites in terms of climate change. You know, Wendy's done an amazing job of getting a handle on that. We can kind of fairly confidently tell you now, kind of like when they're going to have pups and that kind of stuff. But there's so much we don't know, and including those things like, you know, what are all the predation factors on pangolins? But we would assume on Tswalu, lions is probably going to be your single biggest threat, apart from climate change. Climate change doesn't directly impact the pangolin, but it directly impacts the prey that pangolins are feeding on, ants and termites. So of course, if climate change impacts on ants and termites, that will have a direct impact in turn on pangolins and compromise them. And then of course, there is the illegal trade in pangolins, which is absolutely horrific, and it's rife. You know, and there's a lot of literature and data available on, you know, on social media and, you know, all over the place on that. And it's certainly worthwhile just kind of having a look at and seeing what we're up against. And, you know, you're looking at our colleagues down in Phinda, the amazing job that they've done with the reintroduction of pangolins there. It's just like absolutely brilliant work, and we need more of those kind of encouraging, those really, really good stories. So, yeah, andBeyond, the team has been doing a great job there. We're going to head back to Trish in the meantime and see what her bull elephant's been up to.
They are growing in number very much. Now, I think we're not very far from where we had the bull just now, and I think that he probably got chased from this breeding herd. Trying his luck with one of these mums. Got chased away to Treehouse Dam. also explain why he felt the need to show a little bravado. Hey, girl. Mark, you'd like to know if elephants ever sneeze? They do. They do. It's quite a sight. I have only seen it once. In fact, I saw it distant a couple days ago. It actually, perhaps quite a sight. It's not the correct term because I didn't see it. I heard it. And then I looked at the elephant that looked perplexed after it had sneezed. There's quite a few youngsters in this herd as well, so that would explain why the mums might have been extra protective. I love when elephants have something in their trunk, as in they've just collected some grass and then they forget that it's there, so then they scratch their ear and then they place that grass on their heads. I think it's gorgeous. There's this individual in front of me did that just now. As soon as this one crosses, then I'll move along. Oh, BK, I'm so sorry to swing you around, but this little one is suckling, or at least trying to. Never mind, it's over now. You were trying to... Sorry, guys. Am I sounding a little broken up? I'm just going to take my mic out and place it on my lap. That sometimes helps. Mics can be needy. There we go. Sometimes they just need some attention and some love for you to put them on your lap, and then they're all better. Kind of like this little Ellie, I'm sure, and kind of like Ruben's cubs, which I'm hoping to see. I've been trying to get to the den and just getting elephant roadblocks along the way. Louis D. Lion, you say that was a tender moment? It certainly was. It was such a calm moment. Such a happy moment. Cub goes and seeks the comfort of Mum and some warm milk, and Mum so happily gives it up. Oh, that puff of sand was gorgeous. The sun is actually going to set behind the horizon very soon. It's fading as we're sitting here. Oh, that's so nice. See the sun setting behind an elephant? And it's almost gone. The sun, that is, but my elephant has gone. All right, I'm going to go make my way to the den finally, and then I'm going to send you over to Tswalu and a pangolin.
I can't believe he's coming right out. We need to be incredibly quiet. Incredibly quiet. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to talk very softly. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Just enjoy the sighting. I'm not going to say anything else. This is unbelievable. It's going to come right up to Chandra. You must just sit very, very, very still. Oh my goodness, it's like all my Christmases come at once. Look at that, look at that. Look at that, guys. That is just unbelievable. What we're going to do is it's going to go foraging properly now. It's walking away. We're unfortunately not going to stick around with this animal now. We're trying to keep our disturbance to an absolute minimum. That sighting that we just had was unreal. Absolutely unreal. I cannot believe it. I mean, that is just off the charts. So I think we're just going to have to appreciate this animal. Chandra, come, you can... sorry, please repeat that. Please repeat that. Look at that. This is just... oh, jeez. Cynthia, I totally agree. Epic is the word. Epic is the word. Oh, jeez. I mean, like, yes, I'm in heaven here. That was just unreal. Yes, look at that. Look at that camouflage. Yes, I'm just absolutely blown away. Yes, I'm so pleased that came out. And I'm just even more pleased that all of you could be with us here, watching this animal like us. I think we're going to leave this pangolin now. I really don't want to disturb it any more than we absolutely need to. We've been amazing. Chandra was sitting a couple of yards from it. It was totally fine. But it's going to start getting cooler, so it really needs to get some foraging in. So I think what we had there was absolutely superlative. And I think so. Let's leave it. There's one last glance over there. You can actually see it just going up the slope over there. Look, there he goes into the thicket, and once he's in that thicket, then we're gonna just, Chandra and I, we're gonna pack up our stuff and just go celebrate. This is just unreal, eh? But in the meantime, while we're saying goodbye to the pango, Eda, look at that, look at that. That is just iconic. On that amazing note, head over to Taylor and see what she's got that side.
I cannot believe that you've seen such a mythical creature, Dylan. I almost need to go back and watch the show to see that it actually exists. However, we're still with our elephant bulls, and you can see they're all feeding together now, and that's because Mr. Kumo, the big elephant on the right-hand side, has broken a knobthorn, and a big branch came towering down, and his smaller colleagues, are they colleagues? Acquaintances? Who knows? Have now come to feed on the rewards of being a big elephant bull. I suppose they've got that to look forward to one day, although, I mean, elephants are deceivingly strong even when they are the size of the bulls on the left. But now you can really see a nice size comparison here of the beautiful bulls. It's been a really lovely afternoon. He's saying you're getting a bit too close to me now. That's my food. And I'm going to take it back out of your mouth. Every now and then he gets a bit annoyed by them. I think he's so used to spending most of his days on his own, and he appreciates the company, but in small amounts. And I look forward to learning a little bit more about this elephant on the right-hand side. It's nice that he is being followed, and I shall do some digging and see if I can't find some more information about him. Kita, me too. So, like I said, after the drive today, I'll ask a couple of people some more questions, and I'll do some digging on the interweb as well and see what I can find. It is just amazing to see where he's been wandering. But I've literally seen him every single day since the first time we saw this bull, and on morning safari as well as every afternoon safari. He's walked a couple of kilometers since we saw him as the sun was rising and made his way back here. So I think he's just going to do a big loop and head up to the rocky ridge that runs east-west through Prrivelands and then come back down again. He seems to do the same circuit. But there's nothing stopping him from moving on into other ecosystems, back into the Greater Kruger area. I suppose he's in the Greater Kruger area, but you know. Perhaps now your comment is, pangolins and elephants in one go, I could die. Yes, I get the feeling. Sometimes I have to pinch myself because I forget that I'm actually sitting here in real life with these animals. And it's been a really long time since I've got to spend such quality time with elephants. There's just something about the elephants of the Greater Kruger National Park that is really just so special. I suppose they interact with humans on a regular basis, not as in being able to touch them or anything like that, but just seeing vehicles. You can see how he's not too happy with those boys, so they sort of keep their distance and use their trunks to stretch forward and grab bits of that tree that Kumo has pulled down. So that's what happens with breeding herds as well, is that they're all feed in an area and you might get a big cow or a bull that comes through and pulls down branches, and then the whole herd comes around. Matt, I think fantastic is a lovely way to describe what's happening. And also the sun is starting to set now. We just missed golden hour, but I like following up on this bull. We had a very special moment with him when he was standing under the marula tree and the light was just turning as he was sort of reaching for various things, and the branches, so the shadow were just casted over his whole body. But the excitement is not over yet. It seems as though Nikki has found some jackals. Let's go see what those sneaky creatures are up to.
So we just found a jackal. So we spent the whole afternoon trying to see if we can find the lion and the lioness with the small youngsters, and then the leopard. But then we were surprised by this black-backed jackal. Now he is hunting at the moment. You'll see the way that he's running, and then of course as soon as he stops he'll listen out to hear if there's anything. But earlier on I think we saw him catching a mouse. We couldn't see quite clearly what it was, but we think it might have been something very small. Oh. See the way that he's just jumping. Let's see if he moves back into the open. Joy, it is beautiful colors. We actually have such a beautiful scene. Now this jackal has disappeared for now. I think while we're waiting to see if he comes out again, I just want to show everyone the view that we have at the moment. So I'm going to just duck out of the way. Well, so you can see the colors that we're looking at the moment. So have a look at the sun setting, but then of course the Drakensberg Mountains, you'll see it just over there on the horizon. So it's a beautiful mountain range, and there's like this pink purple color all over this area. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can see the jackal again while we're having a look at the sun set, but I can't see this jackal. I think he might have moved into a bit of a dense area. But what I also want to quickly do is just show a little map of the area, because I said earlier on, I just wanted to show some of the viewers where we were driving and what was happening, and the whole story about Ngala. Now, right over here is where we are now. So we are probably at this where you can see the binocular sign. So it's a nice open area, and that's where we're looking down towards the mountains, which is on this side right over here. So we're actually from here looking down this way. Now we spent most of the afternoon down in this area here, and this is where we saw the leopard this morning, as well as the lioness with the two youngsters. But as we were exploring here, we've realized that young lioness with her youngsters have moved into quite a dense area where we couldn't see them. So we know they're in the area. There was quite a few birds alarm calling. Unfortunately, we couldn't see them, and as well as that young male, we were trying to see if we can, of course, spot him. But there's a few hyena that moved in area, but where he moved into is quite a dense area, as well as in a riverbed or a drainage line where we can't necessarily get to. So unfortunately, we weren't able to see them. But still, such a beautiful afternoon. We've seen quite a few impalas around, zebra, wildebeest, and of course this magnificent view of this African sunset. I heard there's quite a lot of comments about how beautiful and how special this time is. So this is one of my favorite times of the year, and also here in Ngala, it's just so beautiful, like especially with the sun setting, because look at even the clouds now. You'll notice that just above where the sun is setting, there's this like very golden orangey color, and then the further you go away, of course, the more pinkish and a little bit of purple color. So I think while we enjoy this last little bit of light we have, and then eventually from there we'll start getting out our spotlight, we're going to send you back to andBeyond Phinda with Damon, because apparently he also has a sunset with something else.
Welcome back. We are still with this male lion, and he's shown some signs of movement. He's let out a couple of long, heavy sighs that sounded a bit like this. So I'm hoping that will be always a prelude to him getting up. And maybe not walking around, but we were hoping that maybe this evening, with these two male lions being away from the rest of their pride, and with them being dominant male lions that have to keep their territory well marked, a very important part of that is roaring, to make sure that other males in the area know that this territory is occupied. So that's what we're holding out for. That's what we're holding thumbs, crossing fingers. We're hoping that within the next few minutes he'll lift his head, roll onto his belly, and give us a big roar. Now, with his belly being quite full, just imagine if you had such a full belly and then you had to suddenly shout as loud as you could. The likelihood is not super high, but we are optimistic, and so we're going to stick it out and hope that he does do that. Just that sigh reminds me of a couple of months ago. We were driving out in the open grasslands where these male lions do like to spend a lot of their time. And the grass was very long, up to my chest height, so about 5 feet long, very, very, very high. And we were driving off-road to where the lions had last been seen. And we got to the end of the off-roading track, and we found nothing but some flattened grass, where the lions had obviously been lying hours earlier. And we were kind of scratching our heads and puzzling, and we drove around in circles around that flattened piece of grass. And we couldn't see where these lions were, and we just switched off. And we took out our binoculars and we started to scan around, trying to see if we could see maybe a tail flicking up out of the grass. And we'd had the engine switched off for maybe about 10 minutes. And then we just heard that. That big lion sigh. And it was maybe about 3 meters or 9 feet from the side of the vehicle. And then and only then did we manage to actually find the lions. So that sigh is what gave them away. So Emma's just saying that you guys can apparently still see his paws twitching, maybe reliving the excitement of the hunt that him and his brother would have had when they took down this giraffe. And I can only imagine what a mammoth struggle it must have been, looking at the site where the giraffe is lying. Unfortunately, the signal there is not so great, so we're not going to be able to show it to you live. But the grass has been flattened all over the place, so there was an immense struggle that happened there when these male lions did take down the giraffe. And we can just surmise that one male must have jumped onto its back, or maybe even both males jumped onto its back, onto its hips, and kind of weighed it down. And it would have been a long and tiring battle, and eventually the giraffe would have collapsed, and then one of the two lions would have gone for its neck. An immense feat of strength for these male lions to have accomplished. I mean, just look at the size of his head and the strength that must be in those jaws, and the size of those paws that he's got. Big strong claws that he would have used to latch into the hide of the giraffe and pin it down to the ground. Sarah, you're asking if these lions often hunt giraffe. Sarah, because the most prevalent prey species in this lion's territory is typically wildebeest and Ngala and warthogs, those tend to be the animals that they hunt most often. But lions being opportunistic hunters, any opportunity they see where they think that they'll be able to be successful, they'll take it. So obviously in this instance, this giraffe, like we described earlier, perhaps it was coming down to drink, and it looked really vulnerable, and the lions saw the opportunity and they went for it. It's quite a dangerous animal for a lion to hunt, is a giraffe. Imagine, I mean, the size of those hooves. Just imagine the blow that a giraffe could deal to a lion's face. I mean, it would break the jaw, it could fracture the skull, could break the neck of the lion, leaving it paralyzed, or if it broke its jaw, it wouldn't be able to eat. The lion could die from something like that. And I've seen video footage of a lioness that was trying to tire a giraffe out. She was chasing the giraffe and waiting for the right moment, or waiting to get close enough to actually jump up onto it. And she mistimed her jump, and the hoof of the giraffe came down on her head. And the video cut after that, so I don't know what happened thereafter. But I imagine she probably wasn't okay after that. His back paw is still twitching there a little bit, still having his lion dream. A little flick of an ear every now and then. Not showing too many signs of life, but I'm hoping that with the sun having set now and the temperature dropping, that he gets up and moves around, or that he sits up like I was describing earlier and roars. So we're going to stick with him, and we'll let you know if he does show any signs of getting active. But for the meantime, let's send you across to Ngala, where Nikki has found a hyena.
So we just spotted this spotted hyena, no pun intended, just after the sunset. Now it's moving. I'm just going to slowly move forward. There is a little gap. Hopefully it doesn't move off too quickly. I think it moved off. Well, we were trying to get it into, like Owen did some phenomenal camera work to try and get that hyena in, but he was moving with such a mission. Now, what we're going to do from here, I think there is another road that goes around just to see if there's maybe anything that the hyena might have smelt or picked up on, but the area is pretty dense, so I think for now we're going to loop around. I was hoping that he would just stick around for a little bit longer, but of course decided, no, I need to carry on with possibly going to scavenge for the evening. So for now, let's carry on. There's a road that goes this way. See if there's any chance of seeing some more hyena, or possibly even this hyena. So remember that road I was telling about? So it just cuts off here, and it's Lisa, it was a very relaxed hyena. I just want to try and see. It looked like it had a few scars. I'm just trying to try and see if we can get it again. So it was off. It would have moved from somewhere on the left here, and the direction is towards us. Now there is an open area that we will be getting to shortly, and I'm hoping that this hyena decides to go into this open area. So we're slowly carrying on, not too far. Might just see something now, so keep a good lookout. Even some of our viewers that are looking, just see if there's any movement. I know there's a lot of trees that you might see as we carry on. Yeah, I'm just trying to see as well. Can't see anything as of yet, but this is the bush and you just never know. So there is the open areas right in front of us here, so let's quickly get there and scan back. Nothing as of yet. We'll slowly carry on now. Well, there would be chances of seeing possibly brown hyena, but I just don't know if it's ever been recorded here. I'm sure there has been some recordings prior, but not to my knowledge. Since my time being here, I've never seen one or heard about anyone seeing one here. I know at Tswalu Kalahari, that area, so more on the western side of South Africa, as well as into Namibia, and that you do see quite a few of them. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see that hyena anymore, which is sad. I would have loved to have another. So I think for now we're going to carry on. Just never know. Scan hard. We'll eventually get the spotlight out and see if there's any other surprises this evening. But while we do that, let's send you across to Damon with that lion at andBeyond Phinda.
Yes, this lion is indeed still in the exact same place. But have a look at his tail. See how it's starting to twitch every now and then? Just see that little black pom-pom flicking up and down. Perhaps some pesky flies buzzing around his rear end. Oh, look, he's just lifted his head. And these are... oh, no, back down. There was a big lion sigh. I don't know if you saw the dust that flew up in front of his muzzle. But these are all good signs. Like the more he gets, the more frequently he lifts his head, the more frequently he wakes up, the sooner he'll come out of his slumber and maybe move for us. Like I said, we are hoping that he's going to roar a little bit later, and that's why we're still sitting with him. We've just been discussing the fact that this carcass is so, like we said, it's a couple of days old. So these lions obviously made the kill a little while ago, and they've stuck here with it. Now, There's obviously a lot of food there still for them, a lot of valuable nutrition. But I'm also wondering, the area that we're in now, you've just come from Nikki that had that hyena. The area of andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve that we're in now has got a pretty high population density of spotted hyenas. And I wonder if we'll maybe start to hear them calling as night falls. And so perhaps on the first evening, some of the hyenas did come down to the carcass, and the lions had to chase them away, and now they've decided that once they've had that little interaction with the hyenas, they're not going to let those hyenas get a taste of their giraffe, and so they're going to stay to defend it. It's amazing between this male lion and a group of hyenas. I think it would take quite a few hyenas to intimidate these males out of this area. But speaking of hyenas, I believe Trish is on her way to go and have a look at the den at Djuma. So we'll send you across to her and see if she can show you some spotted hyenas.
I was at the Hyena Den a little earlier. I have visited the Hyena Den 3 times today. Twice this morning and once this afternoon, and neither Ribbon nor the cubs were there. A little disappointing, but I also checked a nearby den that they used to use, and I didn't see anything there. Also, I was astounded by the lack of tracks around as well. So maybe they've just been having a busy 2 days. Not sure. Yes, it's sensitive. All the rustling is getting to me. Rustling of the leaves as I drive through. Also, I want to say to you that last night when we were at the den, there was another adult hyena that came through towards the end of the segment. It was hot. I got a clear view of her when she came quite close to us. She came through and made the Rogue, you say maybe they finally moved their den? Yeah, but I mean, it's been a while that they've been at that den now, and she would want them because the smell of the cubs, the urine, the feces, all of that builds up, and that can be attractive to a predator. So it is quite likely that she has moved dens, but that seemed to be a pretty good one. And I think maybe if we don't see her for another 2 days at that den, then we can go searching for the den, because there have also been a lot of elephants in that block. So that's something else to consider. Well, now I've just got the spotlight out. There have been some leopard tracks around on top of my vehicle tracks. So I'm going to keep my spotlight out, look for a cat, and I'm sure that Steve is doing the same.
Not yet. I got eagle eyes. We found, Trish called in some tracks of a female leopard with a cub coming up this road. We came up this road and found the female tracks, that is. No cub. I went down to investigate, and most certainly the cub was there. Oh. That's a wildebeest. Sorry, I thought it was a zebra for a second, Darby. So the tracks down this road go straight towards where we were hanging out earlier with those impala. Oh, the dust has just caught up with me. So I have a very strong feeling that Tundi actually moved through here early this afternoon when we sort of started our game drive. Probably stashed her cub somewhere in the bushes, another area nearby where Kalamba was at as a youngster. And here we have our family of gnus on the open area. That one's gone for a little bit of a jaunt into the sunset. Very, very dramatic. So we're just going to go down here. We wouldn't be trying to follow anymore if it was Thandi with her cub, because sensitivity would prevail there. But there's these tracks all the way up the road here. I was trying to ascertain whether they were indeed fresh. They look like a genet track on top, but it might have been a mongoose. You know, if you find a genet track on top of a leopard track, you can almost be certain it was in the night. But they've come up, female's turned, the cub has been left behind, so we'll work on it in the morning to find where she stashed her cub. But in the meantime, we can go down here and see where Thandi might be. She's probably going to go get a meal. This is the road that she left the cub at the bottom of this in the drainage last time when she went up the hill with that kill when Tristan found her. And she took him, directly back to the cub that one time. So very cool. How she got over there without us noticing her tracks is beyond me, but these things happen. These things happen. Very good. Well, we're going to see if we can figure out where Thandi's gotten to. Meantime, over to Prrivate with Taylor McCurdy and a bird.
Can you hear the hyena in the distance? It's a very eerie noise. It sounds like it's coming from behind us at Leopard Dam. So we shall go back there in a moment. But what you can see, although it's quite difficult now, as this rather large eagle has hopped to another branch, it looks like it is a martial eagle. And the last couple of mornings we've been seeing them flying around not too far away from camp. So this one has decided to roost itself in this marula tree for the evening. Now, the reason why I suspect that it is a martial eagle is just from its sheer size, but it also has a rather noticeable crest, which is very typical of martial eagles. And when, like I said, we're not too far away from where we have been seeing them flying around. So it's really, really pretty. I wish you could have seen it just a moment ago before it hopped, because there was no branches obstructing our view. It was rather nice. And you can also see it's got an enormous bill every now and then when it turns its head, with a huge hook on the edge of it. Although it's not going to go off and hunt. Not now, at least. It's settled in for the night, but tomorrow morning, once it's warmed up a bit, it will soar the skies and look for all sorts of wonderful things to feast upon. Megan, it is really big. That's why I suspect that it is one of our largest eagles that we see in this area. There's also been quite a few African hawk eagles flying about, but they're nowhere near the size of a martial eagle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up ahead. I'm going to turn around. I'd like to head back down towards the dam and just see where those hyenas are calling from. Well, not hyenas. It sounded very much like just one hyena. I think that's exactly what we're going to do. It's also quite dramatic this evening with all the clouds. Right. Can I remember how to start a car? Yes. Yes, I can. Let's see how this driving around... Oh, there's a nightjar that's just come out. That's early. Okay, wait, we'll look at the notes. We're doing some birding now. This is exciting. I don't know if you can see on the right-hand side of the road. I think is it a nightjar or is it a fork-tailed drongo? I'm going to stop in a moment. It's just sitting there. I'm going to also reach for my spotlight, if I can manage to... Sorry, I'm going to give you light in 2 seconds. Yeah, I'm going to move my head now. I just want to see that this is working. Otherwise, because I have to reach and plug it in. Oh, it is a nightjar. No. There we go. So what it's going to do is, this is very typical behavior of nightjar. Hawk insects like it just did. So we see lots of birds hawking insects where they fly up into the air and then land down in the same spot. Okay, I'm going to move forward. Let me just try and see if we can get one more view. There he is. Let's have one last look. at this nightjar now that it's up in the open. How beautiful is that? Looks like it is a fiery-necked nightjar with that sort of rusty patch on the back of its head. From this bird to another, it seems as though Trish is a fork-tailed drongo singing a beautiful tune.
Perfect timing. Thank you, Drongo. I want to move along towards that area. Just have a look, because there's been tracks of a female, very likely to be Tlalamba. Oh, Rusty, that was very squeaky of you. Tlalamba. Been tracks of Tandi and Cub closer to us than usual. So obviously it's dark now, but that means in the morning maybe a really strong possibility, which is awesome, isn't it? Just seeing that little cubby track next to hers is just so special. Just a bit dark to follow up on it. I mean, she would stash her little one, so like I said, bodes well for the morning. Just gonna have a look at tracks here for a moment. Apologies for her squeakiness. Just gonna grab that again from you, Emma. Sorry, my earpiece popped out. Ah, Prashant, you say, what about a last-minute chameleon? There's always space for a last-minute chameleon. A last-minute chameleon is like dessert. Try and stop me. Yes. Okay, let's head over to the barking and see what we can find there. And I'm going to send you over to Nikki and Ngala. He's doing for the...
So like Trish, we'll also probably be looking out for some chameleons, if we can see any. Like, I've just haven't seen a lot in the last, I would say, month or so. Which is also probably also have to do a lot with... you'll find all the trees that are losing a lot of their leaves, the chameleons won't really go up into those. They'll go to those that at least have a bit of leaf cover so they can conceal themselves and hide away from some of the predators. I just haven't seen any yet. But you never know. Never know. Maybe there's a good chance Owen cleaned his glasses a little bit earlier and he said now he has some eagle eyes. Or maybe lion eyes at night. So let's just... what did you say? Leopard eyes. Why not lion eyes? Well, leopard or lion eyes regardless. Hopefully we'll be able to spot something. We're carefully scanning as we're going along. And also if we do hear anything, we'll just switch off the vehicle. We haven't heard anything yet. I mean, and if we do find like a serval or something like that, I mean, that would be absolutely... or a civet. But I don't want to sound too unrealistic or build up too high of an expectation. Let's rather just carry on and see what we can find. So we're still carrying on here, but while we do that, we're going to send you back to Damon at Phinda and hear if there's any updates on that male lion.
Yes, we are still with the male lion. And for those of you that have been keeping track, he's rolled over for a second time, now showing us his very muscular back and his very bloated and swollen tummy from a different angle. Sleep. And to give you an idea of how deeply he's sleeping, we just now saw two Nyalas walk straight towards him, get to within about 5 meters of him without them knowing he was there or him knowing that they were there. When the Nyalas eventually spotted him, they gave an alarm call, a bark. They make a barking sound when they get a fright, and they ran away. And the male lion didn't even lift his head. So deep is his sleep that he's currently in. Now, before I continue, I must just let you all know, I know that the image on your screen is quite bright, but I can assure you we are using a red filter on the front of our spotlight, just as a sensitivity measure to this male lion's eyes. And just because of the sensitivity of the eye of the camera. So as I was saying, yes, so the Nyalas came right past him. He didn't even wake up. And then just now, we heard an elephant trumpeting. Oh! Penelope, you say you're pretty sure you just saw him move? Well, he just did now. He just lifted his head. Oh, there's a rhino right there next to him. There's a rhino right there next to him. Now, it's unfortunately just behind some bushes. We can't see it very well. I just caught a glimpse of its hide disappearing behind a bush. Got his attention. The elephant trumpeting and the Nyalas didn't. But the rhino almost walking over. Sitting up, look. Sitting up, looking in the direction of the rhinos. And it seems like they've moved away. But look at his face, look at how his ears are kind of off to the side. Not too interested in them. Okay, so apparently our signal has been a bit patchy. So while we hope for some better signal, we're going to send you across to Dylan at Tswalu as they reflect on the fantastic afternoon they've had.
And it has been a insanely fantastic afternoon. See, I can go, if I see one cool thing a day and everything is cool, so there's just so many things to see. But that sighting that we had with that pango was off the charts for me. I mean, that was, and I wasn't even like right close to it. I mean, Jandre was sitting there and the thing walked straight out towards him and then just ambled off and carried on feeding in the next bush clump. I mean, that was, and then look at the sunset. Look at what we're seeing here. Let me just actually be quiet and you guys can appreciate it for what it is. That's yeah, this is Africa at its best, though. Oh, this is unreal. Absolutely, Moonbeam. It definitely looks like molten glass, eh? Just a whole lot better. Wow. So from going from that absolutely remarkable sunset, head over to Steve. Wow.
Thanks, Dylan. What a wonderful afternoon you've had. Well, we tracked those tracks of what we believe to be Tundi. They've gone directly into the drainage line where we spent a lot of the afternoon with those impala and the alarm calls. So, very good chance that she's in there. Well, actually almost certain she's in there. And considering that I had her tracks in there yesterday on the other side, I think she might actually be on a kill. But we're going to have to, we tried to find it again now, but no luck. We're trying one more little circle around this block, see if anything pops out. But we'll have another look in there tomorrow. There's lots of trees that it could have been hoisted in. So we'll go back tomorrow and have a look. Obviously, we wouldn't be looking for the cub right now. That's why we followed the female, because there were no tracks with her. But she's deposited the cub somewhere. Oh, there's a bush baby. Let's see if we can get a bush baby. I think it was a bush baby. They got very red eyes. And they jump. I don't see him anymore. I don't see him anymore. He's camera shy, this fellow. Camera shy. Moy Noise says Columba will jump out for us just now. Well, she probably will. Trish is working around quarantine there, where the open area close to camp, that Columba's quite famous for just appearing around the corner. Oopsie, that's just a branch. I'm just going to follow. This road goes parallel with the drainage line that we spent a lot of the afternoon in. Becomes quite difficult to track at night. It's still doable, but it's tricky. This is the time, though, that you're hoping something will be on the road or nearby the road. You pick it up with the light. Okay, well, Damon's worked hard this afternoon, keeping up with his cats. Let's go have another look at this male lion.
Hi everyone. He's now sat up and he's lying in a bit of a sphinx-like position with his paws out in front of him. See how his mouth is hanging slightly ajar, and he's given us a few yawns. And often, as I'm sure you've all seen with lions and leopards, when they're about to start to get active, they often start to yawn and stretch. Here comes the yawn. Oh, look at that. Those massive canine teeth. Are able to maybe go back in that video and freeze frame just at, have a close look at his bottom jaw. He's missing one of his lower canines. So he's only got 3 canine teeth instead of 4. One will have never start during a fight, perhaps with another male lion over territory, or over food, or over a lioness, for mating opportunity. opportunities. But this is promising for us now, everyone. This is the position that we want him in terms of him roaring. And what we're waiting for is just, it'll start off with just a little, like a little groan. And then, here he goes, here he goes, here he goes, get ready. Just some soft contact calls to start. My heart is in my throat, everybody. I just want him to roar. Little contact calls. That's often the prelude to a full-blown roar. No, don't do that. So I'm just looking now, I can see with that. It's as if he's going back to sleep. Which... I think while we wait for this male lion to roar again, we'll send you a sign. We'll call you straight back. Enjoy.
Road next to the river, or we're going to take the river and then see if there's any chance of a leopard again. And we have this little saying that when in doubt, always take the scenic route. So we decided we're going to take the river. And yeah, we'll just have to see if there's any signs here. So this is basically on this side, so on our left, is where that young male was left this morning. So we just want to see if he might have come down into the river and could be lying down here. Maybe there's some tracks of him. If we don't find anything now, hopefully if there's some tracks for tomorrow morning, because Eric is driving tomorrow. So be really nice if he can at least have something to start with. But I think for now we're still going to carry on down this beautiful river and see if there's any signs. But we also, even though we are looking out for leopard, we are making our way back to the camp. So the camp is situated on this river. As far it's pretty hard, but I think with the riverbed itself, even though it's dark, is it's a little bit easier than on the road, because you can basically leave the steering wheel and it will follow the track in the river. So luckily for that, but if you have to turn around, it makes it quite a bit of a mission. But we also like take the vehicle, we put it in low range just to make it a bit easier for us. But whenever we do spot something, we'll have to just stop in the middle, because as soon as you go off, there's a chance you might get stuck. Which we're hoping not to do, because it's quite cold in the riverbed. Oh, and then you didn't even decide to bring your leopard onesie. Like, surely. Owen reckons not tonight. Maybe another night. When? No, I'm kidding. Oh, Owen mentioned something. He said rather than a leopard onesie, he might just consider a zebra onesie. Oh, can try and organise that. Bit of spray paint here and there. So we're going to send you back to Trish who apparently found a hyena. We're still looking out for our animals, so I'm going to send you across.
We did. We found a last-minute hyena. Looks like one of the youngsters. This is going to be interesting. Because this is where all the antelope were just hanging out. They've obviously vacated the area very quickly. And try and get alongside him. At first I thought it was Swazi and I didn't get a very good look. There we go. You can see in infrared it's not the best image. But maybe it's an indication of what Steve theorized, that Tandi's got a kill somewhere nearby. And a hyena nose definitely sniffed that out. See if I can manage to get a little closer as the road bends. Yep, and that is the end of our hyena. All right, guys, I'm going to send you with this last nice image back over to Dylan at Tswalu to say goodbye from us all, and we hope that you have a good evening.
So it certainly has been one incredible afternoon, and not just an afternoon, but a day out here. And it just strikes home again, to me at least, just what a remarkable environment it is that we live in. The Kalahari is not a easy environment. It can be a very harsh environment, but at the same time it can be incredibly rewarding for those who actually take the time to look a little bit closer, get off a vehicle, get down on your hands and knees and look closely at the small things. You know, out here I don't have all the answers, and I don't think there are people that do have all the answers. But it's not about having all the answers. It's actually about going out and exploring these places, looking closely, and trying to discover all these like little hidden gems around us. And it's a privilege to be able to do this. And it's, you know, you come out here, every single day is different. We've spoken about this before. Every single day offers something new to the person that's actually willing to go the little extra mile and try find out about this environment. Our colleagues in the Lowveld and up at Phinda, you know, they've been seeing some incredible things as well. And you know, each one of these environments is very, very special in its own way and should be protected. And yeah, we welcome people to come and join us on these kind of things. And you know, someone just commented now, I think it was Gary, just saying he has absolutely no words. And it's the same as me, I go out here, and very often it's just what it takes is just to stand quietly in one spot, like a dune crest or under a camel thorn tree, and just absorb it. You don't have to say anything all the time. But yeah, it's an amazing journey, and I'm just very, very grateful that you're all with us. And Jandre, I can't thank him enough. He's just been absolutely incredible on camera. A lot of these shots are completely handheld, very shaky for a long period of time. So what goes on behind the scenes is as important as what we're all seeing and being able to appreciate. But yeah, thank you very, very much for joining us. Tomorrow's going to be another exciting day. I never have a plan really, but it's just fun going out there and exploring and saying, well, here's this amazing place. What can we dig out of it? And so if you can join us again tomorrow, and Phinda, Djuma, Ngala, all the different places, and just enjoy this journey with us. And we'll see you again tomorrow morning. It's been a fun one. Thank you.